In this video, we're going to discuss the cash-on-cash return and the return on investment. Sometimes these are the same figure, sometimes these are different. Pretty simple, we're looking at profit divided by the total investment, or annual profit divided by the total investment. Now, if you're purchasing a property using 100% cash, meaning you're not going to finance it, you're not taking out a mortgage, you're not taking out a loan from your aunt, you're just purchasing with 100% cash, then your ROI, your return on investment, and your cash-on-cash return are going to be identical. For example, $30,000 in profit, $30,000 in net operating income divided by a $500,000 initial investment gives you a 6% return on your investment. And it happens to be the same as what your cap rate was, right? Now, if you're going to finance that investment instead of paying cash, this is going to be, your calculations are going to be different, right? Because you're not actually using all of your own money to purchase the property. When you do this, typically you're borrowing money from a financial institution or a bank. And typically you're borrowing the majority of the purchase price from that bank. And it doesn't matter whether it's a bank or a family member or a friend that loaned you the money. If you're borrowing the money, the calculation is going to be different. Now, let's walk through an example. Let's say it's a $480,000 home that we're buying. We're going to put 25% down. That means we have a 25% down payment, or $120,000 that we're investing in the property, and we're borrowing $360,000. Let's say we've got $10,000 worth of initial repairs that we make. We have that $10,000 in closing costs and holding costs prior to renting that property out for the first time. So we have a total initial investment of $140,000 as compared to that total initial investment paying cash, which would have been $500,000. For the mortgage, we'll need to make a couple assumptions. Let's say that we've borrowed that money at 3.5% interest on a 30-year fixed mortgage, or a 30-year loan. That brings us to a monthly payment of $1,616.56, and that includes your principal and your interest. That's the money you're paying down that you've borrowed and the interest that you're paying for the privilege of borrowing that money from the bank. So that monthly payment, that $1,616 a month times 12 months, is going to give you $19,398.72 that you're paying to the bank annually. So now that we have that expense, we can calculate our cash-on-cash return. We had $60,000 in gross rental income, 50% in operating expenses gave us $30,000 in net operating income. We have a little over $19,000 in mortgage payments over the first 12 months. So that leaves us with a little over $10,600 in annual income. Take that $10,600, divide it by 140,000, and our cash-on-cash return is 7.6%. Essentially, I'm earning 7.6% on my $140,000 initial investment. Not bad. In fact, it's a heck of a lot better than putting your money in the bank right now, where you might be earning 0.07% interest. All right, there's another benefit here, though, that hasn't been calculated yet. Because remember, we said that $1,600 payment every month, that a percentage of that was going to pay down the loan, and the other was the interest that we have to pay to the bank to have borrowed the money. Calculating all of the principal reduction portions of those payments, we come up with a little over $6,900. So our initial $360,000 loan at the end of year one is now almost $7,000 lower. Well, that's essentially the same as money in our pocket. I can't go spend that money, but if I were to sell the property, that's money that would come back to me. So if I take that $10,600 that I earned in actual cash income at the end of the year, and I add to it the just over $6,900 that I reduced my loan by, I end up with a little over $17,500. That's my true return on that $140,000 I invested. So if I take that $17,510.14 and I divide it by $140,000, now my return on investment, my ROI, is up to 12.5%. Now, other benefits that you can also include in your real estate investment when you're factoring in what your return is include appreciation and the tax benefits. Personally, I never factor those into my decision about whether I'm going to purchase the property or not. The cash-on-cash return and the principal reduction, those things need to stand alone. However, when I'm determining what markets I'm going to choose to buy in, I might factor in whether I think a market has a good potential for appreciation, or whether I think it's a safer market where the property will maintain its value or rise just a little bit. The reason I never factor in what the appreciation may return to me is that I have no control over that. I have no control over when a property appreciates or depreciates. I have the ability to improve a property. That's through my own efforts. I can replace the kitchen, I can upgrade the flooring, I can do things like that. But I can't inherently just purchase a property, let it sit, maintain it just as it is, and count on appreciation. All right, tax benefits. Now, I'm going to preface, I am not an accountant and I'm not your accountant, so please seek your own tax advice. This is just for the purposes of general rules of thumb and what I do personally. I don't factor in the tax benefits when I'm deciding whether to purchase or not purchase a specific property. Reason for that is that I don't control the tax code. Every few years, elections happen. Every few years, policies change. Every few years, tax rules could change. So right now, a couple of the benefits that you should ask your accountant about and seek information on is the benefit of deducting your mortgage interest expenses, deducting your property taxes, and the depreciation benefit of your property, right? The actual house that's on the land depreciates over time, and you can use that to offset some of the return that you have, some of the rental income that you have. So again, it's really the cash on cash return and the return on investment that I use personally.